Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs.
What's up, nerds? We back 2 weeks in a row. I know it's weird, right? But we have a new topic this week, and we will go with it here in a sec after we get done with Welcome to Every Man's Guide to Nerddom, where I am one nerd who is over 40, well over 40 now, and I talk about pretty much whatever I want. Kyle's still on sabbatical, so I'm Chris. Joining me today is going to be Mr. BRob. We all know him for his Marvel and DC and just about anything else insights. Good buddy of mine, good buddy of the show's. So we're going to be talking about a topic. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite platform. Join us in Discord. The links are down below. And if you take a look, we will give you a shout out if you're the listener of the week. You just got to let us know that you're listening. Our listener of the week right now goes to Mr. Jethro, who was on last week. Loyal listener. Jethro, piss off. He'll get a kick out of that one. But today we are talking about, while it's still semi-fresh in his head, it was a month ago, BRob and his boy T went to the San Diego Superhero Con. That's what it was called, right?
San Antonio
Superhero Con. And there we go. It was.
Get rid of Kyle and get all the special effects. Nice.
I know. The show really goes up once he's gone. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. So what made this adventure a little different for BRob this year was he went on a 4-day journey to this, and we're going to go through each day. We're going to go through what the highs were, what the lows were, what could have been different. He had some frustrations with this one. He had some really good times with this one. So there were some highs, there were some lows, and we were trying to get T on here, but he didn't want to because he's smart and wanted to keep his friends. So he decided to not be on this show. But BRob knows what T's perspective is, so he's going to talk about T's highs and lows too, and just what the cool things were, if he'd go back, what he would have done different. So stuff like that. So first off, BRob, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being back on. So let's start off. What were the dates of this show?
So it was June 20th through the 23rd. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And then you guys went down for all 4 days.
Yep. We flew in on Wednesday. Thank goodness, because of the hurricane coming in and everything. Travel was kind of messed up. So I always like to have a travel day in there somewhere. And that worked out. Pretty much rained the entire time we were there. And I'll kind of allude, that's one of my things to gripe about a little bit, but we had a good time. So yeah, we got there on Wednesday. They were originally going to have like a VIP welcome event if you had a VIP ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up, because they streamlined so much stuff that I guess they hadn't in the past, they didn't feel the need to have to do that. So, which cut costs for them.
Would it have been better to have the VIP event? Because you paid, how much did you pay for the VIP ticket?
I got it when it was on sale, and then there was an additional discount. I think it was right under $400.
Was it worth it for $400? Because people I know right now, we all know times are tough for everyone right now. Like the dollar doesn't stretch nowhere near where it stretched 2 years ago. People are asking $400. That's a lot of money. Was it worth it?
Depending on what you're going to do. So for if you're gonna go all 4 days and you're getting autographs,
Mhm.
yes, for sure. If you're gonna go 1 or 2 days, you're not really getting autographs. You're just there to then do the panels, the vendors. Probably not. I mean, you got in an hour early each day with a VIP. So we got all 4 days, got in an hour early each day. There were VIP expedited lines for all the autographs. There was for the really big panels, like
Mhm.
for Chris Pine, Orlando Bloom, Palm Clementeth. Um, they were in a separate building in a big auditorium, so there was special VIP seating on the floor.
Mhm.
So that was cool.
Was it like
But
front row for you guys?
I mean, we could have, if we would have got there earlier, we could have. I mean, we were probably row 6
Oh, that's still not
on the
bad.
floor. No, so it was cool. You got a T-shirt. You got discounts from anything that you wanted from the Comic-Con itself. We got like these special badges.
Mhm.
We got like 5 of them, and I think I gave you one of
Yep,
them.
I got one.
And but you got your choice. And if you didn't like one of those, you could exchange it for one that they had. So that was cool. A couple of those were, I think that's Robert Wallace. He's an artist.
Mm.
I think he did those, a couple of those, and they were really cool. You got a popcorn tin, so that was like unlimited popcorn the entire time, which was great because it was just a good snack, and then you could dump it and not worry about it.
Which was way different than our Dallas trip.
Right. Got a free clear bag to carry everything in. So, I mean, there was some free stuff that was worth it. But again, if you weren't getting autographs and being there all 4 days, probably not worth, or probably not worth the VIP. But for us this time,
It was
for
worth
sure,
it.
for sure.
So it
Yeah.
was $100 a day basically for that.
Yeah,
For that
basically.
VIP.
So we got in. So I mean, the Comic Con ran like 12 to 8 Thursday, 10 to 8 Friday, Saturday, and then I think 10 to 5 on Sunday. And we got in an hour or 30 minutes, maybe it was 30 minutes early. It was an hour or 30 minutes early. I can't remember each day. So we beat the masses, which was great when you had seen everything that we had seen, and then getting to go to like the free arcade, which I'll talk about again in a minute. But to get on some of the games that like were never open during the regular times. Like
Right.
me and T wanted to play Walking Dead, and there would just be two kids just sitting there for hours, like no
time limits, no supervision.
no supervision, no common courtesy, no common courtesy. So Valk me and T, we play a couple times, like, hey, we die twice, we're done, no matter what game we were playing. And so we could get up so that other people could play and be courteous, and that's just in general, the world is missing that. But
so that kind of goes back to our whole nerds are a selfish lot.
Yeah, but
the
that's
majority
anywhere.
of
I mean,
them.
whether it's you're at a baseball game, or it's like getting off of a plane. Common airline courtesy is you let the rows in front of you go, but you always have these dummies that feel the need to go try to run from the back as far up as they can, and then they get mad when you step in front of them to let the little old lady out that's in front of you, or whatever. So it's just, I mean, it's not just one group. It's
the world in general,
and it's not just one generation. I mean, you just have some selfish people that don't think about anyone but themselves and making sure they got their money's worth. Damn you, it doesn't matter about you. So
right, like Chove. Chove, we had to put him in some way here. Okay, so you guys got there. Let's start with the day you got there. What was there any activities for you to do, because that was the day before the convention? That was your travel day. Was there did they have anything set up for you to do before then, or was this kind of you're on your own?
This was on our own. There was nothing there. We had made some plan with, like, we were always going to go to the Alamo because T's kind of interested in that. So we went and walked around, because we stayed down at the Riverwalk, which was about a 10-15 minute Uber to the Freeman Coliseum, which is where
Mhm.
this place where it was. So we stayed down about just off the Riverwalk, so it wasn't like extremely expensive.
Right.
Plus, I used points, so that helped. But so we walked a couple blocks over to the Alamo, and it was like I said, it sprinkled rain pretty much the entire time. So we did that, and we kind of walked around, and we actually did Dave and Buster's that night for dinner. Went to my favorite. Well, actually, so we get there at Alamo. Realized it was happy hour. One of my favorite happy hour spots is down on the Riverwalk. So we went down there, got a couple. I got a couple margaritas, chips and queso. We kind of sit there and just kind of talked. Watched a little baseball on TV, and then walked over to Dave and Buster's. There's a big Dave and Buster's down there. Did that, and then we kind of called it a night early. But right as we were getting ready for bed, I get an alert that one of the headliners cancels the night before the Comic-Con. It said he got COVID, which again can't be helped. Things happen.
No. Who was this?
But
You can name names.
Jake. Oh yeah, no, I was trying to be suspenseful. You need to really learn how to do this.
Oh no, go ahead, go for it.
Jake Gyllenhaal. So, and he was a big one. Like we had our bags just kind of packed with stuff to get signed by different people, and I had one of my Mysterio Funkos because that's what we collect on the nerd side is Funko autographs, and would have really liked that one, but he canceled. A few months earlier, one of the other headliners, Jeremy Renner, had canceled because his schedule got changed. The writer's strike kind of made it very difficult for anybody trying to get guests, but I think in particular for this one, I think was so those were really the two main guys that we really wanted, but we were still determined to have fun. So,
and you all remember this is a placeholder because this is going to be another sore point for BRob coming up and how they did their refunds. So we'll get to that here soon,
right.
But trust me, I heard all about it. I was getting updates as they were happening. Okay, so Hawkeye and Mysterio canceled on you.
Right.
And that was you knew about Hawkeye like well before you went.
Yeah, so I'd already got my refund for Renner. And then the Gyllenhaal refund wouldn't happen for another. So they made a deal on their platform. You could exchange an autograph for another autograph, but if it was like you couldn't break it up, like say Gyllenhaal's was $200, and I couldn't break it up and do two $100. I would have to pick one of those, and then I would lose the other $100,
which is ridiculous.
So if there wasn't a like priced one, you were either going to have to pay the upgrade fee, like to do a Chris Pine, because I think Chris Pine was the most expensive person, or maybe a Diego Luna, which I did end up doing. But so it was just kind of messed up that way. Or you could just take the refund, and that would process like 10 days later, is what they told us. And so that was kind of my hang up on it. Is a lot of people don't have they would have really wanted that money to spend at the Comic-Con. So having an automatic refund or having a platform that you could split it up as long as the amount equaled whatever it was in your cart. Excuse me. But a lot of people didn't have the money to be able to wait to spend then just to wait on the refund. So you should have automatically given the money back, and that was a big pain point for me.
Or being able to at least break it up how you needed to.
Yeah, because I would have gotten Jamie Alexander's on Lady Sith, and probably and then I may not have had to pay for additional money to get my second Andy Serkis autograph. So
right. So San Diego or San Antonio leadership, I hope you guys are listening to this. Next time you do this, maybe you need a better platform, because like we were saying, money doesn't go as far as it does now.
Man, and I got to give it up to him, Bob. I can't remember his last name. He's like the main guy, one of the main guys behind this. He was visible the entire time. Like, I mean, he's heard all this straight from me because I mean, he came out Thursday morning. Like, we're standing in VIP line. And he's a bigger guy, and there's a lot of ground to travel. So he was on like an electric scooter thing,
Segway.
or electric. Well, no, like I say that, like what you see in Walmart, but he didn't have like a rascal almost.
Okay.
But a little more the BMW of rascals, if you will. So anyway, I mean, it would have been very easy for that guy, particularly since Gyllenhaal canceled the night before, for him to kind of just hide. But I mean, we were there pretty early. I mean, 30 minutes early before we could even get in, maybe 45 minutes early. And he was already kind of making his way down the line, shaking people's hands, talking to them, piping them up, and
Which is awesome.
you know,
you don't see that a lot.
No, I saw him all around the show the entire time. He listened to people's concerns. If somebody had a really big issue, like, he would take them up to a customer service person or help them get the answer. So he was really great. That would be the reason. And I'll say that later, but yeah, so he heard everything from me about, cause he said, well, follow up with me on Sunday and tell me if this was worth it, and talk to me. So, and that's what me and Tinker did. Cause he asked Tinker, he's like, what do you think, buddy? What do you think, little man? And Tinker gave him his point of view too. And so, and it was a little different than mine. So, from a 10-year-old to, I forgot how old my kid is, to me. So.
And that goes along with, we're old. It happens.
Right.
Don't judge us. You know, it happens to you all too. I forgot my oldest name earlier today. So yeah.
And there are things about this Comic-Con, like, I mean, nobody, and we'll talk about this later a little bit more, but no Comic-Con has free artists or free celebrities anymore. I mean, you have to pay for everything. They had 10 celebrities in a free zone that they had scheduled times that were all through the app, so you could get there to do free autographs, and you could bring your own thing, or they had, some good picture options for them to sign. And then they had a separate time throughout the day to do selfies.
Which is awesome.
And usually you have to pay for those. And I'm talking about, Katie Lotz, who is White Canary on in the Arrowverse, on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Diana Guerrero. Yeah. Peter Weller, RoboCop. Leah Thompson for Howard the Duck, Back to the Future. Flash Gordon. Can never remember his real name.
I can't remember his name either. The only thing he ever did.
Right. The guy who Maxwell Jenkins, he played the young Jack Reacher, and he was in Lost in Space. Diane Guerrero, who was Crazy Mary in Doom Patrol. She was Isabel in Encanto. Crazy Jane. I always say Crazy Mary.
I think you're thinking of Typhoid Mary.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking, I don't know. She used to be Crazy Mary, but now she's Valhalla in WWE. But anyway, and then she was also voiced Jessica Cruz on the DC animated. And those were just a few of them. And Kimberly J. Brown from Halloween Town,
which is awesome.
She was another one. So they staggered them out. So you would have, you'd have 4 or 5 there. They were only there Thursday, Friday, and then you'd have a couple come in on Saturday, Sunday, or some that were out there all weekend. So, but they had this whole other building that had the free area, and then about 125 free video arcade games for people to play. And everybody's everything from Mario Kart to Walking Dead, Jurassic Park. So there were shooter games. There was probably about 50 pinball machines for nostalgia. There were some really cool things that were all free in this one. Everything in this one building was free. The guy who voices Scooby-Doo, is it Scott Enos? Scott Ines? I don't know how you say his last name.
Ines,
yeah.
I think.
So he was there. He was the only paid person in that building because he needed a big area because he had like the Mystery Machine and a bunch of other stuff there.
That's cool.
But anyway, so this whole building that was separate next door to the main convention was all free. So nobody does stuff like that. So I know maybe things were a little more expensive in order to be able to get this.
Right.
But it was great when I was standing in line for somebody that Tinker really didn't want to meet. Then on the free side, Sam Witwer. I don't know how my favorite one. Voice of Darth Maul. He played Jefferson Bloom, aka Doomsday, in Smallville. And so he was another one. But so nobody does that kind of stuff. So again, I applaud that, the outside the box thinking. Things maybe were a little bit more expensive, but in order to cover the cost for that stuff.
Sure.
But it was great when I was in line for somebody. Like Tinker he didn't have to stand beside me. Like he could go. I would give him a little bit of freedom. He could go over to the arcade and he'd set his watch and he'd come over in 15 minutes. Um, and there were a couple times that like he'd wait right up until I got to the front and he'd jump in line because you could only get one autograph per person. And maybe I wanted to get something for somebody back home. Or there was somebody else there. Somebody couldn't make it to Comic-Con that had messaged me and asked me, "Hey, would you get this signed for me? I'll send it to you." So,
right.
Stuff like that.
See, that's really cool because if you all listened to our podcast last year about when BRob and I went to the Dallas one, we had some complaints about that one. That one was poorly executed. It sounds like they tried, because I mean this one was on a grander scale anyway. Just a bigger, it sounds like it was just bigger anyway. But it's really cool that you guys had an outlet there for the kids, like in a free spot, because
right.
I tried to get RoboCop. If you remember at Dallas, I wanted RoboCops, but it was like $100.
Right.
And it's like Peter Weller isn't that relevant anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Not
the coolest thing
$100
he had the RoboCop car that you could take a selfie with,
which is awesome.
But the problem with the free side was, you know, and I'm not going to say, I mean, I wish there would have been like a VIP line. That would have been awesome, but it just wasn't very well organized. And so, and the cutoff times were kind of weird. I mean, people would line up just to line up, and like a volunteer would come, "Hey, this isn't going to be where the line is. You're standing here and you're going to get upset." They would stand there anyway, and then they'd get mad and like almost want to fight. And just be hateful to people. There was one lady that, you know, an ADA compliant. ADA always got to go up first.
Yep.
And they're there. They would get to go up there and like sit in an area or put their wheelchair or whatever up toward the front, and then they get to go first. Totally fine with that. There needs to be accommodations for that for people who can't stand up and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this lady that I've been in line with, she was in a wheelchair, and I'd been in line with her multiple times throughout the event. I think this was Saturday, and these two guys, probably our age, made her cry in one line, like basically hazing her about her being in a wheelchair and how she got to comment, and she probably didn't even need that. And I was like, well, just run them over. And one of them turned around and looked at me, and I was like, yeah, I said it. And then of course, you know, they didn't say anything else to me anyway. But this lady's crying, and she comes back and gets on a different line with me. We're talking. I was like, man, she should have just ran him over. And then she's still kind of worked up, and her husband's trying to talk to her. I was like, ma'am, are you ever going to see those assholes again? No? Then why do you care?
Exactly.
I mean, who cares what they think?
Honestly, BRob, it's awesome you did that. It really is, because that's the kind of stand-up shit you don't see nowadays. And that's being cool to your fellow nerds. It's just being a human being.
Well, there were a couple of times that if my kid would have been with me, it would have got a little bit different with people. You know, there was one, I think probably the worst example of anything I saw. And this just goes back to, I mean, in my mind, it gets good parenting. But there was a panel for Walker Scoble, who plays Percy Jackson, and Mason Thames will be the live action Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon, and he's in other stuff too. But they did a panel, and you know, when we walked up, and neither one of we kind of wanted to hear Walker talk a little bit, so we're listening, and the entire crowd is like orange shirts. What's the significance of an orange shirt when you're watching something Percy Jackson?
The orange shirts, those were the I don't remember. Orange shirts?
Camp Half Blood.
Oh yeah, that's the counselor shirts.
So yeah, because I mean, T was wearing one the day that we met.
That's right.
All these, I don't know. I'm horrible with guessing ages now, but 10 to 16-year-old girls,
tweens and teens.
All, the decibel level. I mean, it was louder there than I've ever heard. Like Chesapeake Arena when the Thunder win the playoffs, or you know, or Boone Pickens, and beat that other stupid team that's here in state.
What
in
is that,
football.
Justin? Justin, tell
Um,
us.
so, but it was so loud. But anyway, that panel ended, and you would, and again, those two boys had autographs or photos to do on the other side of the building. So they took them out a different way. You would have thought it would have been, it was like somebody said, first one over there gets to hook up with him or give him a kiss or whatever. And I mean, it was a stampede. And all these girls just take off running through one building, and it's a pretty tight corridor. And that's where a lot of the vendor space was. So they're just running. And they knocked, a couple of girls had knocked over a little blind girl. And I was kind of over there, and I kind of grabbed her, and her dad grabbed her, and it was just, I mean, and they didn't even look back. And then like there was actually two security guards chasing after a couple of them, but to make them all stop running. I mean, it was just insane. I mean, nothing is that important. It was like Black Friday almost. But that was probably the worst thing I saw is not caring about a disabled person or somebody with special needs.
Right.
Just trying to get over, and you were going to have to wait in line when you got over there. So did it even matter?
Yeah.
But that's probably because what did he say? T said something along the lines of, "Did they not see her?" And I was like, "Buddy, I don't know." He's like, "Man, somebody should just go punch them." I mean, it was just something. It was something. Wasn't
Something along
super
those lines.
profound by
Yeah.
any means. It was just kind of like, well, at least you're good. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of just reassuring to me. And
You're doing
but
it
anyway,
right.
but anyway, but yeah, so that was probably that and those two interactions were probably the worst things I saw all weekend. There was a dude that was yelling about not being able to be first in line for something. That was just a very entitled, and he was a big guy, like big and buff, probably taller than me. He's probably about 6'4". I mean, he was a big guy, and
Just
you know,
write it out.
and he's there with his daughter, and he's just yelling. And that was one of the guys. I'm like, because he was yelling at a girl who'd been helping me the entire time, and I was like, man, is this really necessary? Don't yell at her. And that's when he kind of started jawing at me, and that's the one that if my kid wasn't there, I definitely would have said a few other things.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, let's just go this way. I was like, man, you're never going to get what you want acting like
No.
that. Or at least I think it's, at least I hope.
Right.
So anyway, it's stuff like that it's just, and maybe the guy would have murdered me. I don't know. I would have got my licks in. But, you know, with my kid being there, you know, definitely not. I mean, I don't know that it would have came out, but I hate people who just act like entitled assholes. I mean,
Well,
there's
no
and
reason
don't get
for
me
it.
wrong. I definitely got worked up a couple times over that period, but at the same time, it's like you can't control it. So don't
And
worry
you
about
weren't taking it out on disabled people or your fellow convention goers or the poor staff that was volunteering.
it. Right.
Keyword, volunteering to work that. They don't get paid.
Well, that's what I always tried to say when I was frustrated with something. Like, listen, I know I'm frustrated at the situation. I'm not frustrated at you, and I'm sorry if it seems like that, but got to figure out a better way to do this so this doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. So the security guards that were chasing after the girls, are you sure they were actually security guards or cops and they weren't cosplaying as like Paul Blart?
I wondered about that. Similar to at first, I wondered if, you know,
And that's not a joke, everyone.
right? Yeah. Well, I didn't know if the girl was, you know, dressed up like a female Matt Murdock. I mean, you don't know,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So, but then I noticed pretty quickly that the way the parents reacted, that was
He was
not
actually
the case.
blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're a kind person, BRob. It's the world needs more
Unless you're
people
an
like
OU
you
fan.
there. Unless you're an OU fan. My family and Dr. Justin. Chove.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if we don't say something,
Mhm.
it's never. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to change anybody's behavior, but at least maybe somebody second guesses acting like that in the future.
Right.
Because, like, okay, I don't want to get called out by somebody in front of a bunch of people.
Sure, and I get that.
So. Because I'd expect somebody to call me out.
Or if
sure.
my kid was acting like a shit.
For sure. I'd
Yeah.
expect somebody to, just as much as I appreciate when people tell me how good, your kid's really respectful, or, thank you so much, young man, for opening that door for me, whatever. If he's being a little shit, I expect somebody to be like, hey, man, I wish somebody raised you. But I mean, I expect to hear, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I mean, as long as you don't put your hands on my kid or cuss at them, they deserve to hear, when they're being a jackass. So
you can't only hear the good things
within limits. Obviously.
Within limits, yeah. No,
but,
if you're telling me how to
get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying.
Right.
We've had this discussion before. So let's talk about. So those were some of the bad parts you've seen. Let's go for a quick overview of the days here.
So Thursday, the first full day we had. So I tried to set it up where we had autographs. That we had kind of a schedule. They did a really good job at the app that you could go through, like a lot of them do now, and you could like heart things, and so it would put it in a separate day where you could hit my schedule, and it would give you the list of all the stuff you wanted to do and filter it out.
Cool.
So I tried to do that and tried to build a schedule so we wouldn't miss things. I mean, it's like anything. It's like being on a cruise ship or a Disney World. You're never going to be able to go to everything you want. But
you're going to lose track of time.
We've been talking for a week, and then definitely the day before about what we really wanted to do. What, these are the things, this is what I don't want to miss. And then we tried to make sure. I had it written down in my calendar, kind of what we did. But Thursday we had Mantis, Palm Clone and Tess, Clementine, however you say her name. We had her autograph. And then there were a couple of the free ones, like Sam Witwer. I felt like Thursday was the day to get as much of the free stuff as you could that was there, so you didn't have to worry about it on Friday or Saturday.
Right. When the majority of the people were going to be there.
Right. So we got Palms, and then we just spent a lot of time meeting the vendors, getting to know people. And that was also the day that we pretty much spent the Mysterio or the Gyllenhaal autograph refund. I was like, you know what? Let's support some artists. So let's get some artwork. Let's get some comic. There's some cool comic book guys here. So let's do that. So that's kind of what we spent our stuff on. Is he got some art for his room signed by some great artists. Bought us some comic books. Just got some different stuff from different vendors. And again, made some friends, because I always try to meet people that first day, and then you see them every day, and then it just makes it a little bit better. So.
Well, and I think that's kind of what a big thing of these conventions are, is you make friends. Because they're there for a reason. It's because there's similar interests. And it's just kind of cool just hearing other people's experiences.
Right. So that was so we did her autograph. I think her panel was on Thursday. Palm's panel was.
What did you get autographed from her?
I got Mantis. If you guys can see, that's going to be super blurry. So, but anyway, I got Mantis on a Funko in purple. Turned out really good. Very happy with that. As opposed to maybe sometimes on autographs, I'm not always happy. Like my Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin. Friday, met Andy Serkis for the first time. That was great. Really great experience. I got him to sign Supreme Leader Snoke,
which is awesome.
And I've been talking to Justin and Chris about what to do with that one, because we collect so much Marvel. I was like, man, should I get him on Claw? And then I have a small collection that I'm building out of like the Star Wars characters I really love. But I was like, oh, so I got him to sign Snoke. And then right afterwards, I was like, I am going to have, Tinker said it first. He's like, Dad, if you don't get him to sign a Gollum, you're going to regret it, because that's your favorite. That's one of your favorite books.
Yep.
Books and book series, my favorite authors. And I was like, shit, okay, you're right. So that was another good thing about meeting some of the vendors and stuff. They didn't rake me over the coals because I mean they all had like special, like in their booth, especially the ones who were selling Funkos or any art for the people that were there signing. They would have a special section in their booth that was like solely just for the people signing, and there weren't in. I mean, they ran out of stuff pretty fast. So by the time I made this decision, it was like late Friday. So me and T, first I made sure I could find the bobblehead before I bought the additional autograph, and there wasn't very many autographs left for him because they would sell out because very limited. So we found the Barnes and Noble edition uh, invisible golem. So he's like translucent.
That's awesome.
And the guy sold that one because it was going to be like $25. And then I was like, hey man, I'm also, what about that Isabella? Because I want to get something signed for my daughter. He's like, if you buy both of them, I'll sell them to you 2 for 40.
Which is awesome.
So that's what I did. And because I mean, nobody had that one either. So people, they ran out of stuff. Or they didn't come with those particular, like, and nobody, like everybody kept trying to buy the Percy Jackson one because nobody had that one. Everybody kept asking, hey, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? So I was very lucky.
Why did you, some people don't know, why did you get Isabella?
So my daughter, I promised my daughter that I would get her, we'd get her son. She doesn't go to Comic Cons, the big ones that's me and my son's thing. Me and her go to the College World Series of softball, but we always bring her back stuff. Mm-hmm. And we were going to surprise her, and that was really what we felt like would be something she loved because she doesn't really have any other than softball photos or softball autographs, balls. She doesn't have a whole lot of autograph stuff like T does. So we're trying to start our own little collection of like the Disney line. We thought that would kind of be something she would really enjoy.
Who's Isabella's voice?
Diane Guerrero.
There we go. So, everyone, and she was in the free area.
Right.
And Diane Guerrero's insanely hot. I'll call that.
She was very, very nice. She's very, very nice.
I'll call it. She's insanely hot. Go ahead.
So that was Friday. Saturday ended up being my really busy day. Because again, by Thursday and Friday, I've got Sam Witwer, Laura Vandervoort, who was a Supergirl, Helen Slater, Supergirl. That piece I'm super proud of. I got both of the Supergirls to sign a Supergirl bobblehead.
If you guys want to see that, we will post that in our Discord.
Well,
it's already posted. Yeah.
That
one turned out great though. Like the way he got with the colors, that one's one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah. And then so I've gotten most of the free people I've won done, but the Sam Witwer, his lines were insane. Him and Leah Thompson probably had the 2 longest lines of anybody every time. It capped out. Yeah.
Really?
It was, I mean, it was insane.
There was no one at the Tulsa one last year for her. Right. If you remember, she packed up early.
Right. I mean, it was insane. The fact that we got an autographs by Sam Witwer and the photo with him, I don't know many people that got both. So awesome. I was very glad we did that. Saturday was really busy because I added an Andy Serkis autograph to an already busy schedule getting Miss Marvel, Amon, can never say her last name.
Oh, but didn't you say she was really nice?
She was very nice.
Her autograph was a little shaky, but she's new to all this.
When I looked at all the other, because that's what I had showed, I was like, man, I don't know how happy I am with this. I sent that picture to Dr. Justin and Guyver. But after I saw all the other ones, I kind of compared and it's very similar. So it's not like she messed up on her. It's just what her autograph looks like.
She's young.
Yeah. And then we met Chris's favorite, Tatiana Maslany, aka She-Hulk.
The missus's favorite.
Yeah, got two. I got an item signed for me.
It begrudgingly.
and one signed for Chris's wife.
Which she loved.
Very nice.
It was the lawyer She-Hulk, like where Jen was the lawyer.
I was sweating that my son was going to out me and how much I hate She-Hulk. The whole time we were talking to her. The whole time I'm just kind of sweating. Because I just said, you never want to be disrespectful.
No,
it's not her fault. I think the show sucks. I think she's amazing. I think she's an amazing actress. You do what you can. It's like
you hated the writing.
Ryan, yeah, I just didn't like the writing. She's amazing. I love her in Orphan Black, and that's really what I talked to her about. And T thought I was speaking Greek because he didn't know what that was. He's like, "Well, I love you in She-Hulk. I think you're awesome." And I kept waiting for that. He doesn't, but I do. But he never did. And I was like, I kept waiting for that bomb to drop. But she was very, very nice. And then got to meet Andy Serkis a second time. Got him to sign the Golem,
which is awesome.
And I think that was all. I'm looking around at these autographs.
You got another one that day.
He wasn't till Diego Luna.
Yeah. Yep.
Diego Luna. I had gone back and forth about who played Cassian Andor. He's never done a Comic-Con before, or at least a U.S. Comic-Con. So I kind of felt the need to get it. And even if I flip it later to something I really want, I'm not the guy that gets something done and then sells it for double the price. That's not what I want to do. When I buy stuff, like it was kind of my regret about not getting Orlando Bloom's autograph, because even if it's not something I collect, I can hold on to it and then I can flip it for something that I need for my collection later. Because that's what I've done a couple different times. That's how I ended up. That's how I got my Rebecca Romaine Mystique. That's how I got John Krasinski, Mr. Fantastic. How I got He Who Remains. He Who Remains. Jonathan Majors. How I got those, because I flipped other stuff I don't really collect.
Which is lucky, because no one will ever get that one again.
Right. And then my Wicket by Warwick Davis. That's how I got that one too. So
which that one I am insanely jealous of.
Yeah, that one's awesome. So anyway, but got that one, and then we Sunday, I think all we had to do as far as autographs was Percy Jackson, and that was probably the one T was the most excited for.
So what did T get signed on that one?
He just signed. It's I think it says Son of Poseidon on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's never doesn't really do these, and you could tell some of the ones that haven't done a whole lot of these that they didn't really know what to sign. And I was like, man, just whatever you think. He's just happy to meet you. So he just kind of wrote his name, and then I think he put Son of Poseidon on the side,
which is still awesome.
And usually you have to pay extra for anything other than a name, a character name. So I always feel like when you're just really nice, and I mean, that's when I've always gotten like the free stuff. I think, yeah, Sam Witwer wrote a quote on his for free. When we met Ming Na Wen, she signed Fennec Shan for free.
Which is
same
awesome.
thing with Gina Carano and Cara Dune.
So that was Saturday.
Yep. No, so Percy Jackson was Sunday, the last
Sunday.
Gotcha, so after we got that done, we were done. And so all we did was like play video games pretty much the rest of the time. Because we were just waiting for our flight. Because we're like, well, do you want to leave early and get to the airport? Or do you just want to hang? He's like, let's just hang out. I'm like, okay.
So what's actually awesome is that you got to spend all this time with T.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can go with BRob next year. We can plan that. Because it sounded like it was just a blast. So out of these 4 days, give me 3 highs, give me 3 lows.
I think it goes unsaid, like you said, just spending the one-on-one time with him. We don't get a whole lot of that. So that was awesome. But as far as just strictly related to the con, seeing Andy Serkis and his interactions with my son, because he's pretty outgoing, but there are just times when he gets shy, and he really wanted to ask Andy Serkis questions, and so he asked him, does doing the Gollum voice hurt your throat? And he just started laughing, and they kind of talked about just seeing that interaction with him was great, and getting to talk to him about the character was really cool. The panels, I thought the panels were really well moderated. The lady who moderated Tatiana Maslany's panel, she huge nerd. She's actually a lawyer in Houston.
Is she
As
really?
well. Yeah, so she did that, and she did a really really phenomenal job. They all did for the most part. All the panels we went to. And Sam Witwer, meeting Sam Witwer, he's one of my favorites voice actors. I've liked him ever since he did Smallville. So that was a lot of fun. So just those things all together, and getting to add some new pieces to our collection,
which is awesome.
Lowe's, the platform itself, it was challenging, and I don't like the way they did that, because I really think they kind of screwed over people and themselves a little bit. They could have made more money. The way that there was very organized in the free autograph side, if they would have organized it a little better, I think it would have spent more time. More people could have spent more time, because I think that was the biggest gripe from vendors, is because that was in a separate building.
Mm-hmm.
The vendor spaces were pretty empty most of the time, because so many people were over there. And then maybe having two buildings, because walking back and forth between the two, because you had to walk outside and walk through a parking lot, and so you'd have to.
And
so
it was raining the whole time.
Right, and then the auditorium where some of the panels were, like Chris Pine, Orlando Bloom, Palm, that was even further. So, and you had to walk outside. There was no connecting walkways or hallways to get, so you had to walk outside. So, I mean, that's a small thing. I mean, you deal with what you have to do. But those were probably my three highs and three lows. Now, if you ask T would tell you his highs were Palm's panel. He loved listening to her and tell stories about.
Because you said she was funny.
Oh, she was hilarious. She was great. When we first met her and got the autograph, she was kind of awkward, but I think she kind of broke out of her shell and was more interactive. Panel was amazing, and so that pulling two signed autographs. T would do these wanted to do these blind box drawings where it was like $20, $25, and you had like a 1 in 5, 1 in 6 chance of pulling a blind box that autograph Funko. And the first two times he did it, he pulled. The first one he did was Superfly from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, signed by Kevin Eastman, creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm taking T with me to the casino.
And then he did it again and pulled a Princess Jasmine signed by Linda Larkin, who was the original voice of in Aladdin,
which is awesome.
Yeah, so that Neve actually got two things. So,
was she thrilled about the Jasmine?
Yeah, she was very excited about both of them. And then the third thing was he just enjoyed, and it's probably another one, the honorable mention for me, my high. He got some freedom. He's growing up. He's proved himself trustworthy. I'm pretty confident he could take just about anybody, and they're not going to kidnap him, or he'd make a big enough scene that if something happened. But he deserved to get a little bit of freedom, and kind of not wander all over the place by himself by any means, but to get just to where I can see him and kind of do his thing and give him a timer where he feels responsibility. And so he really enjoyed that, kind of being able to. He made some friends. At one point, I told him, "I'll give you $100. We'll go over there and buy whatever you want right now if you go over to that table and get one phone number from one of those girls." Because there was like a table full of girls, and he was like, "I'm not doing that." He's like, "I know. That's why I said I would give you $100." So, because he was complaining, he's like, "Man, I've spent my money. Will you give me some more?" And I was like, "Well, you do this." And I really
got to work for it. You
got to work for it. So, but no,
well, that's
those
awesome.
are probably his.
I'm I'm really glad that you and T got to spend this time together because it's a bonding thing and it's not often, especially for you. BRob's super busy. Like me trying to schedule time to hang out with BRob is like, it's hard. And now imagine that with his kids, because BRob works really hard. They're always doing stuff, and it's just really cool. You got 4 days with T, just one-on-one.
Yeah,
And that's
and
the kind of
it's
stuff you
also
always remember.
yeah, and it's that time of the year too where we don't get the time because I coach her softball team, so all spring, summer, and part of the fall. I mean, that's kind of what I'm focused on when it comes to their sports. And I coach him in basketball, and that's really just fall, winter.
Right.
So we're just at that weird spot where I'm transitioned out of coaching him because he needs to be with better coaches in my mind, and other things as he's grown up. That he misses that, and that's one thing we talked about. We've talked about a lot lately. We talked about just me missing some things because I'm with her. So I didn't realize. I don't think I realized how much it bothered him to an extent. He gets it, but
And you don't until they mention it to you.
yeah, jealousy, probably a little
Mhm.
jealousy. So
Probably a little bit, but then you get it. And as parents, we do our best to try and make up for it. And I'll tell you guys this too. There are definitely times when there are favorites. Like right now, Willow, there's times she's definitely my favorite because the big one just turned 13 and she sucks right now. Especially when I found out that all 11 of them broke my $150 Xbox controller. Because they used it as a coaster for their food and everything else. Yeah, now I get to bring it to You Break I Fixed for $40 to repair so they can solder on a new thumbstick. But we do our best. We do our best to try and keep it even for the kids, but it's not always possible. And I mean, we're human, but that's why we constantly strive to do better for our kids.
right.
And it's just really cool. Like I said, you got to spend 4 days with T doing this, and it was something that meant a lot to both of you because it wasn't like your thing, or it wasn't just his thing. It was both your thing,
Right.
which is really cool. And even spending time in line, that's still time you get together. So
Yeah, no, it was good, and he does a really good job. He's a lot more patient than I was at that age.
So, but yeah, I mean, you guys just heard BRob's experience at San Antonio. Why do I keep saying San Diego? Um, Probably because they're threatening to pull out of San Diego. Comic-Con is. It's just really cool, and this was such a great experience, BRob. I'm glad we got this done while it's still on your mind. I know you're super busy, so seriously, thank you for taking time out to explain this to everyone. And if you
Yeah.
guys got questions, ask BRob. Post it in the episode discussion. BRob will be happy. He's always happy to answer questions.
Yeah, and there's a couple Comic Cons coming up. The Oklahoma Comic Con that's here in Tulsa, August 10th and 11th.
Mhm.
It's fun. They don't have like the really big name guests. I honestly don't even remember who all's.
Jim Cummings.
Yeah, Jim Cummings, Matthew Lewis, who was Neville Longbottom, John Snyder from the Dukes of Hazzard. John was actually at the one I was at. Ferrigno,
Steve Bloom,
Tom
one of my
Kenny,
favorites.
Steve Bloom, John
Tom Kenny.
Glover.
Tom Kenny is SpongeBob. Steve Bloom is Zeb.
$1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. It's a fun one. The vendors are probably depends on what you're going for.
Yeah,
but it is a lot of fun. Yeah, but it's fun if you kind of want to ease into the Comic-Con scene.
And it's not super
It's a
busy.
good one to go. Yeah, it's not super busy.
Charles Martinet is going to be there.
Yeah, and then there's like 2 Power Rangers.
Ashley and
Johnny Young Bosch.
Yeah, And Johnny Young Bosch, who's one of my favorites, as you guys know, I've talked about. Also, Bash the Stampede, Sabo.
And then if you want one that's a little not as far away as San Antonio, but has some good guests, September 6th through 8th in Little Rock, Arkansas Comic Con will be there, and that's going to have Ashley Eckstein. Basically, all three of the main voices from Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Ashley Eckstein, James Arnold Taylor, Matt Lanter, Ray Park's going to be there. So Darth
Which is
Maul,
awesome.
Toad, Brent Spiner from Star Trek, Gates McFadden from Star Trek, Michael Rooker, who was Yondu in Guardians, a lot of the voices from that stupid musical Hell something that you like,
Um,
Hell's Halfway House or
Hotel, Hasbon Hotel.
yeah. So two people are going to be the main voice is going to be there, a couple of people, and then a lot of wrestlers, the Hardy Boys, Kane, Matt Riddle, they're all going to be there. So Paul Freeman, who was Ivan Ooze in the original Power Rangers movie, he's going to be there.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, he never does anything. So the fact that he's going to be there is pretty cool.
At the Tulsa one, Arthur Sudium is going to be there. He did the Marvel Zombies inking, and Renee Witterstatter, she did a lot of inking for She-Hulk, the comic, which is really cool for those. So okay, let's get this straight. BRob likes the character She-Hulk. He didn't like the show for the writing.
Yes.
Let's call that. And then Jeremy Clark's also going to be there. He was the artist for Last Ronin. And who was the other one that was because you mentioned it, Scott Ennis is going to be at the Tulsa one,
right?
Too.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, if you guys end up going or want to go, put something in Discord. Maybe we can get a group to go.
Bobby Costanza is going to be there.
Yeah, I did see that. I will say that if you save up money to go to a good one in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma City one that just happened
was awesome.
Looked amazing, and I heard really good things. I think Fan Expo is going to be doing that one from now on. So
I heard great things about that.
Will probably be pretty big moving forward.
So, as our parting gift here, who are you thinking about getting autographs from the Tulsa? You're usually pretty strategic.
We already have Matthew Lewis, so I think T just wants to go and get a picture with him, and like show him the drawing that he did for him several years ago that he signed. Maybe the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, but there's really nobody else that I'm super interested in getting.
Can I give you a suggestion?
Sure.
Steve Bloom, get the zombie Wolverine Funko.
Oh yeah,
because he's also Wolverine's voice.
That would be cool.
They're getting ready to do the Marvel Zombies TV show. So I think that'd be a good one. For those of you who are big, we all know I'm the big voice actor fan. Gray is going to be there, Delisle. I think that's how you say her last name. She was good friends with her buddy Brad. She does Daphne's voice, Frankie from Foster's Home, Mandy from Billy and Mandy, Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents. What's her name? Asuka from Avatar: The Last Airbender, the sister, and there's a lot she's done. So this one's fairly inexpensive. It's great, and like BRob was saying, get a meetup going. It'll be good. So we'll go from there. And then John Glover, one for those.
John Glover would probably be one I would think about getting.
So what I know, there's two things that I know John Glover from specifically. One's going to be Smallville, as he was Lionel, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was Lionel Luthor. Yep.
And then the one I really know him from, he was also in Gremlins 2. He was the Riddler's voice in Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
So that's what I would definitely get signed from him.
He was in Scrooged. That's one thing I always remember him from.
That's right, he was.
And then he was I don't remember the character's name. I don't even know if they gave him a name. But in Batman and Robin,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Jason Woodrue. So also known as Plant Master Floro and the Cedar,
I don't remember that one.
the Floronic Man. But he wasn't. It was before he changed into it. But he was one of the characters. I remember him in that because it was one of those that he's the one that turned Uma Thurman into Poison Ivy. I think he pushed her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
And
then
then
she kills him.
Paul Williams is also going to be there. Paul Williams, he was in Batman the Animated Series, the Penguin's voice.
Penguin. Yeah.
There's a documentary about him that I highly recommend to everyone. I think it's called "I'm Still Here," because everyone thinks he's dead. When you mention, but he's got one of those voices and faces that you like. I recognize him, but I don't know his name. I think it's called "I'm Still Here, I'm Not Dead," something like that. But yeah, it's because everyone thinks he's dead. He wrote a lot of famous songs that he sold to like Three Dog Night.
Right.
Just an old-fashioned love song. Prolific writer. So yeah, just find yourself a small little Comic-Con. If you're intimidated by the big ones, start small. We'd love to see you guys there. Meet up. So yeah. BRob, I know you got to get ready for practice here, so we're gonna end this out. Is there anything you would like to leave everyone with about your experience?
No, like anything, just get out of your own head. I know people get worried about crowds and things and how much money you're going to spend. Live life, go have fun. I mean, I know it's money, but you can't take it with you.
Nope.
So.
Well, gang, BRob, thank you for doing this. Thank you for giving up some of your Sunday here. Yeah, gang, let us know what you think. Do you have any Comic-Cons that you're planning on going to? Any nerd things that events you're planning on going to? Let us know. Post it in the Discord. Love to hear from you. So, everyone, BRob, thanks again. With that, this has been Every Man's Guide to Nerddom. I'm Chris. That's BRob. Please, please be good to each other and stay fresh, cheese bags. See ya.
Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away from